Tonight, Maori Language Commission welcomed to the island. National consultation on labour mobility. Niue pocket guide on upskilling local businesses. Good evening, I'm Soraya Mangawa and this is your BCN News. Leading our news tonight, as of Sunday 18th of June this week, the island has 0 cases of COVID-19. According to the latest update on the Niue COVID dashboard, no new cases were reported. However, 2 of the previously active cases have recovered, taking Niue back to 0 cases. Although Niue has returned to 0 active cases, public health officials are still encouraging members of the public to continue practicing and maintaining precautionary COVID measures. More information can be found online at covid19.gov.nu. Also on our other news for tonight, a team from Te Taura Whiri i Te Reo Maori are on the island this week to visit with the Wangahau Niue Commission and Taonga Niue Council in an exchange of ideas on the promotion and protection of Wangahau Niue, sharing experiences faced by both countries to protecting our indigenous languages. The mission is part of the support provided by the New Zealand government and announced by the former Minister for Pacific Peoples, Aupito William Seal, last year. Here's more on this story.
In an interview with BCN News during his trip to Niue in October last year, New Zealand's former Minister of Pacific Peoples, Aupito William Seal, said that this support will include an exchange of ideas and the sharing of experiences between the 2 language commissions. Last month, the chairperson of the Niue Language Commission, Sifa Ioane, the Director of Education, Berfa Tongahai, and Liline Morrissey from Taonga Niue were hosted in Wellington by Te Taura Whiri i Te Reo Maori, and now it is the Niue's, their Niue counterparts' turn to host them. A welcoming meeting was held at Taonga Niue on Tuesday morning to officially welcome the group to the island, with words from Minister of Social Services and Taonga Niue, Honourable Sonia Ta'alangi, and also the chairperson of Wangahau Niue Commission, Sifa Ioane. The team from Te Taura Whiri include Director of Policy and Development, Ngampera Hoerara, Christine Amundsen, who's the Director of Partnerships and Promotions, and the Youth Advisor to Te Taura Whiri, Hineau Reweti. The team from Te Taura Whiri i Te Reo Maori spoke with BCN News yesterday.
In our team, we have been engaging with Pacific communities in New Zealand and Aotearoa for a while, specifically because we think that the learnings and what we've learned on our journey, particularly in the digital technology comms area, we can share with our Pacific relations, and particularly communities where the indigenous language is at risk, like Niue, like Tokelau, Rarotonga, maybe not Samoan, so I'm Samoan, but because we've learnt how to save money, how to save time. We've learnt what works, what doesn't work. So continuing our relationship, this is the beginning, and we'll be back. But we're also wanting to share a lot of our infrastructure that we've built, digital infrastructure, so that Wangahau Niue language champions don't need to go and try and buy that from a big digital company. We can say we've got this resource available here, or this piece of learning. So the work continues. We've got an ongoing relationship. We do know that the next the next exchange is going to be with Rarotonga before the end of the year. So yeah, we don't see it as a foreign piece of work. We're going home. Aotearoa New Zealand is at home, and it's sharing knowledge with related whanaunga and languages.
There are these days other options to promote the use and retention of indigenous languages, such as digital platforms. Christine Amundsen explains what they do at Te Taura Whiri.
But there are other and many and varied other options to access Te Reo Māori. There's application, apps. There are also there are also digital platforms, because that is our main, one of our main avenues for connecting with people that are interested in our programs that we run or in the resources that we develop up. So, and what we do know is that younger people prefer digital platforms. Instagram, Facebook, all of those types of things, and they prefer to be engaged that way and be communicated with. So we're lucky that Christine has got some very hip young people that know these platforms really well, and that's part of maybe the success of getting our messages out to those people that are interested.
22-year-old Hineaio Reweti is the youth advisor to Te Taurawhiri, and she has a message to share with parents about what it's like being fluent in her mother tongue and the benefits of being a bilingual speaker.
Learn their language first and have English come in second, because it's everywhere around the world, whereas, your language is your own. And that's what I would say to parents.
The full interview with the team from Te Taurawhiri Te Reo Māori will be on Radio Sunshine's News of the Week radio program tomorrow at 11:30.
Director of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Boy Okesene, told the Public Accounts Committee on Tuesday this week that his department is hoping to confirm the annual revenue from the U.S. treaty, an increase from $1.2 million currently to about $3 million per year. This is the fund that was agreed to by Minister of Natural Resources Honorable Esa Monainu on behalf of the Niue government at a meeting on the U.S. treaty in Vietnam, where the United States increased the payment to $600 million over 10 years, or $60 million per year, to be shared by the 17 Pacific nations of the Foreign Fisheries Agency. Here's what the minister told BCN News in March this year.
Last year I signed on behalf of Niue for the U.S. treaty. We had managed to, after a long conversation and discussions on the treaty, as we all know, Niue doesn't have resource fishing in our waters, but there are other bigger countries that benefit from the treaty. So last year I signed in Vietnam our agreement with the U.S. for $60 million for the next 10 years. Starting in 2024, so we are hoping that some of these efforts that we put in for our fisheries will benefit us on a longer term. But $60 million is a lot of money.
Okesene told BCN News that at a meeting in Hawaii last month, officials agreed that Niue will receive an estimated $3 million per year. But this will be confirmed at the meeting in Marshall Islands next month. Okesene said that there is some pressure for countries like Niue, Samoa, Tonga and Vanuatu that do not have fishing vessels within its EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone, but because they are all part of the treaty, they are entitled to a fair share of the fund. He told BCN News that this fund is expected to become available in 2024, which according to the current exchange rates will bring in 4.8 million New Zealand dollars in much needed revenue for the Niue government. A team from the Pacific Islands Forum is on the island to hold national consultations, capturing the views of stakeholders in Niue for the development of a regional labor mobility strategy. In 2023, at the Special Leaders Retreat, Forum leaders tasked the Forum Secretariat to work with all participating countries to hold further dialogues to better understand challenges, opportunities, and report back to leaders as required, mindful that certain issues can only be resolved at the national level. Here's Esther Pavihi with more.
Today, a national consultation was held at the Old Whalefono, where the team heard from the Niue stakeholders about some of the labour issues they face as business owners and employers. The team of 3 from the Pacific Islands Forum is led by Noah Quebec, who spoke to BCN News about the intentions of the consultations to inform the development of a regional labour mobility strategy.
What is important is that to have the views of all our stakeholders, to see what can we do as a region, as a forum family, to address the whole aspect of labour mobility. Because I think our focus was more on economic return, but some of the areas of focus is on social welfare that we don't even talk about. I think it's good to have the all regions to look at all the aspects, from pre-departure briefings to even accommodations or the wages or the terms and conditions of the workers, how they are treated when they are in their receiving countries. I think that's the purpose for me with my team being here in Niue, to just look at how we can also address the specificities of each of our islands. Because take the example of Niue. Niue is, I would say, receiving countries, but also they are facing a lot of shortage as well, because the migration pathway that Niue have in New Zealand or even outside Niue, for instance. So how can we actually address that together?
While most Pacific nations are gaining economic benefits from employment schemes like the season schemes to New Zealand and Australia, for small islands like Niue, the issues are quite different. The issues raised today are quite unique to Niue in terms of labour shortage and the myriad of challenges employers in the private sector face, and also government employers face in terms of finding workers from overseas. BCN News spoke with Aaron Smith, who's the new General Manager for Scenic Matavai.
I think the challenges that we're facing are not that different to any other employer, on the island. Look, I think, we'd talk about, the accommodation and if you're bringing people into the island, where are you going to house them and those sort of issues. But look, I think for us as Scenic Matavai, there's a second part to it is that, how can we be part of the conversation that helps, the Niuean economy, the labour economy, find a solution to this. How can we be part of the solution? So not just for ourselves, but for the communities.
The number one issue raised and discussed at the national consultation is the lack of available and affordable accommodation on the island to house the migrant workers, with participants calling on the government to address the lack of available accommodation and also to put in place regulations to control the rent or the rental rates. The participants also shared ideas such as a youth exchange program within the Pacific as a way to keep the young people interested in staying and working on the island instead of leaving for New Zealand or Australia. The outcome of this national consultation will be compiled into a draft strategy that will be presented to the Foreign Ministers meeting in August.
A technical team of 2 from the Marine Pollution Response Service at Maritime New Zealand are on the island this week to conduct technical training and also to host an official handover for the oil spill equipment received in April 2020, which took place this morning at the airport. Here's more on this story. According to Maritime Manager Lindsay Talangi, the visit includes 5 key tasks, including marine oil spill risk assessment, revisit and support, equipment check and commissioning, on-scene commander training, incident management team and command team training, and equipment deployment training. BCN News spoke with one of the Marine Pollution Response Service personnel from Maritime New Zealand, Mick Cornell, after the official handover this morning.
The first day here we spent a lot of time refreshing the risk assessment to the island. Predominantly the risk here is from passing ships, passing yachts. Specifically, you do have a ship that visits once a month, and you do have areas around the island where bulk fuel is stored. So we've revisited those key areas and we've made sure that that risk is understood and that there are mitigating plans in place to prevent such a spill occurring.
When asked about how well and efficiently the equipment will be utilized in an event of an oil spill, Mick says it is well equipped.
Sure, so the equipment we've provided training on is state-of-the-art new equipment. This is only 3 or 4 years old. It's used in most oil spill environments around the world. The benefit of that is if you had a large spill with support coming in from, for example, New Zealand, people will recognise the equipment, they'll be familiar with the equipment. It's very lightweight equipment. The team here have enjoyed training on it. They have transferable skills from their existing jobs, and they've enjoyed handling the equipment.
Maritime Manager Lindsay told BCN News that oil spills in the region highlights the importance of adequate pollution response arrangements underpinned by pollution prevention, preparedness, response, and maritime liability conventions. The official handover of the oil spill equipment took place at 11 a.m. this morning at the airport, where various government departments attended. A newly installed online resource known as the Environment Information Management System (EIMS) was launched last week at Taonga Niue. Developed under the Niue Ridge to Reef project with the support of the Ministry of Natural Resources, the system addresses the need for more streamlined storage and management of information on Niue's environment and biodiversity. Here's more on this story. According to key project coordinator Shane Tohovaka, the system was developed under the Niue Ridge to Reef project as a part of the project's core outcomes, seeking to address the need for more streamlined storage and management of documentation and information from government and non-government sectors regarding Niue's environment and biodiversity, from the island's primary forest ridge right down to the reef, noting also linkages to the Niue Moana Mahu. Here is Minister of Natural Resources Honourable Mona Inu on the new system.
I'm very pleased with the team led by Shane Tohovaka and the project team and the support from the UNDP and Treasury. We were able to safeguard some of the funding for this activity before the expiry date of April 2022.
The system was designed by IIC Technologies, and a team from the company arrived on the island last week and were able to install the system as well as hold capacity building training with local teams. Here is one of the IIC Technologies representatives from the opening last Thursday.
So what we have done is we've gone through after all of the stakeholder engagements and with guidance from the project have identified the highest priority activities, and that's what you will see. So that includes a physical infrastructure that you'll see in there, a cloud-based infrastructure, about 18 months worth of really hard work by Ed's team to build all of the software and systems in the cloud, and the pulling together of a lot of the information. However, this is a phase 1 release, so there is more to follow.
The content needs more populating from our Niue side and will be worked on in coming months, says Shane. The system is designed to be scaled up according to what is needed and required from various sectors if they would like to be included.
Tailor this system so that it's useful to you in your workplace and in your home and your community. So one of the things you'll see is that there are community portals, and at the moment you go in there and there's the village names and it's got some information that we pulled off the internet. But that's not really what we want. What we want is your information. We want you to upload information on your village and your people and photos of your kids or whatever.
IIC Technologies have also installed the digitizing and archiving equipment for the archive footage from BCN stored at Taonga Niue. Niue Police have received a new police truck donated from the Australian government. According to the Niue Police press release, a gifting ceremony was held at the Niue Police Department last Thursday, where Australia High Commissioner Her Excellency Louise Allerton gifted the vehicle to Member Assisting Minister for Police Honourable Sinahemana Hiko. The donation of the vehicle was funded through the Australian Federal Police Transnational Crime Unit. Here's more on this story.
Chief of Police Tim Wilson thanked the Australian government and AFP for the kind donation. He highlighted the dire condition of the police fleet prior to the donation of new vehicles from Australia and New Zealand. Vehicles are one of the key pieces of equipment needed by the police department to ensure they can respond to the public's calls for help in emergencies, says Chief Wilson. Both Chief Wilson and Her Excellency Allerton noted the great cooperation between the governments of Niue and Australia in the areas of transnational crime, cyber safety, Pacifica, Pacific Maritime Security Program, Foreign Fisheries Agency, FFA, and the work programs under the Pacific Islands Chiefs of Police. The new vehicle arrived on the island on the April boat.
On Tuesday afternoon this week, a photography workshop took place at the Niue Golf and Sports Club. The workshop was led by New Zealand enthusiasts Rob and Laura, who run a traveller's website known as New Zealand Pocket Guide, as well as Niue Pocket Guide. This is not their first time to the island. Rob and Laura first launched the Niue Pocket Guide in 2019, pre-COVID, and have only returned back to the island last week. Here's more on this story. BCN News had the opportunity to speak with Rob and Laura of the Niue Pocket Guide yesterday morning. Laura told BCN News that Niue Pocket Guide is a free online resource for travellers wanting to know more about Niue. Rob explains more about the guide.
It's comprised of over 350 articles to explain travelers everything there is to know about Niue. We call it the encyclopedia of traveling to Niue. We talk about everything from the local customs, things that travelers need to know and may not be aware of before traveling to Niue, to things to do, where to eat and where to stay, and everything in between. So there's really a lot of information on there. So if you know anyone coming to travel to Niue, head on the website.
The photography workshop involved basic skills and tips on how to take better photos and the various camera modes, especially for businesses, accommodations, services, or personal experience. Rob says that they have been hosting a few seminars since they have arrived on the island with local businesses and people who are wanting to upskill their services.
So when we come on the islands, we are welcomed by so many different smiley faces. Everybody's so happy. So what we like to do is to give back to the community. So we, in partnership with Niue Tourism, which is doing a fantastic job, we created a series of seminars to help upskill the local businesses here in the islands. So the seminar that we did run yesterday was about photography, and we went through the absolute basics of photography just in order to get all the local business owners, like a small guest house owners, for example, to be able to take better photos of their business to showcase it on Facebook or on their website.
New Zealand Pocket Guide have been working with and for some of the Pacific Islands, including Niue, Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands, Fiji, and New Zealand. Rob and Laura will be departing the island next week. Until then, they welcome anyone who is interested to learn more from them. You can contact them through Niue Tourism, or for more information, you can find them on their website at newzealandpocketguide.com. Last week, a science team of 6 from the University of Otago and Tuhura Otago Museum in Dunedin, New Zealand, hosted a Niue Science Expo at the Niue High School Paliasi Hall. Exploring all kinds of science and encouraging the interest of the young generation into science was their core purpose for bringing their science expose to Niue. Here's more on this story.
BCN News spoke with Science Engagement Coordinator for Pacifica, Emily Esgate, last Wednesday, who explained more about the purpose of the Science Festival.
Our purpose is to engage the rangatahi, the children, with science, but all kinds of different sorts of science. So we're talking about climate change, we're talking about sound, light, we're talking about the science of medicines as well, to give them a really broad and exciting range of science, because especially when we're looking at a younger audience, we're able to sort of bring out all of the best things that we've got from all kinds of science.
An opening ceremony took place last Tuesday where government officials and diplomats were present. Throughout the week, the team have been showcasing their science festival at the Paliasi Hall to the Niue Primary School and Niue High School students. Emily says that the key objective was to get the children interested in learning and studying more about science.
Otago Museum, it's really important that we bring science out to more remote communities, or communities that don't always have access to the special equipment, things like that. So we thought Niue would be an absolutely amazing place to bring all of our mahi, yeah.
The team returned on Monday's flight this week.
Last Monday, Niue High School was able to participate in its annual Human Rights Campaign for 2023, organised by the NCEA Year 11 Social Studies students and teacher Miss Georgia Valiana. The purpose of the campaign was to promote social justice and human rights action awareness programs. The key theme for the day was human rights come with responsibilities. Here's Losana Sioneholo with more on this story.
Social justice and human rights was the overall theme for the campaign. School staff, student and the community were seen supporting the campaign and the events for the day. According to Niue High School Social Studies teacher Miss Georgia George Valiana, this year digital presentations were involved and hands-on activities during social studies classes. This is a major shift from the lunchtime campaign in previous years. A lot more work for the organizers, but so much more peer tutoring interactions and information for the assessment, says Ms. George Valiana. Of the 9 UN Human Rights Conventions, Niue has only rectified one, which is the Convention of the Rights of the Child in 1996. However, BCN News understands that the government has not yet reported on the status of the implementation of the principles and the Convention articles in Niue to protect children from harm and exploitation, which is a requirement for all countries who ratified the Convention. Ms. George Valiana wishes to thank the principal, staff, students, families of Year 11 Social Studies students and those in the community who were involved one way or another in making it a successful campaign for 2023.
On Friday, 9th of June, was the Niue Primary School Cultural Sports Day, where the 4 traditional house teams, Malo, Paeko, Tufu, and Hahave, competed. The theme of the day was In Harmony with Nature. The overall champions of the day went to Tufu House team. Here's Losana Sioneholo with more.
The day began with the marching and traditional Meki performance where the Malo House won. The overall champions of the Cultural Sports Day went to Tufu, second place to Malo, third place went to Hahave, and coming in fourth was Paeko. All of 4 new champion went to Lin Tilani Laufuli. The Asika champion went to Tuputonga Mutafo. Principal Edwards wishes to thank all the parents for their continued support, to the Niue High School staff for the assistance on the day, and the teachers of ECE and Niue Primary.
And that concludes our BCN News for tonight. Join us again next week, Tuesday, for our Wangahau Niue Bulletin with Esther Barbie Him. Until then, have a good night.